welcome to my very first official podcast. I have launched it. I have several segments I'm going to go through tonight, and I'm so excited. I do have a couple of people that are interested in co-hosting with me, and I just wanted to extend an opportunity to you. If you're interested, we're going to have different people on the show from time to time. As stated, I'm MaKayla, and every week I'm going to try to bring you cases of true crime, raw trauma, and those moments in history where reality, like we said, do be being stranger than fiction. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'll even have to pull back the curtain of my own life, because honestly, half the fun is figuring out what makes us tick and what makes us unhinged. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of that. So there are some things I'm going to share, some things not so much. So you guys will be hearing from me. Also, if you have stories, please feel free to send them to me, PM them. I am working on a truly anonymous form that you can submit your stories on so that you don't have to worry about your name being out there if that's what you want to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. I have a lot of passion for history and true crime and just people who have experienced trauma in their lives. Trauma is something that I've also experienced. So people who have experienced those type of things, I have a very special place in my heart for people who have gone through really hard things in life, because I totally understand. I'm right there with you. I have stories that would just make your jaw drop. So not alone, just want you to know that. And that's why I'm doing this podcast. Mostly it began as kind of like a trauma page, and then I just so happened to decide on a whim one day that I was going to publish a TikTok about the Lewis murder case in Dalton, and it kind of exploded, and I wasn't expecting it. It was just something that my boss had told me about years ago, and she was like living in the house, and I was like, girl, are you crazy? You know, that type of thing. And it just always stuck with me. And I hadn't heard about the case until she told me about it, which was like in 2013 or 2014. So it was just really something that has led me to kind of open up that side of things, more true crime related. So I'm really excited to share stories. I do have a special place in my heart for Murray and Dalton, so I do try to keep it more local. So we all know life has a way of throwing things at us, some hilarious and some just heartbreaking, straight up. Some so bizarre that you can't even explain without sounding like you're making it up, like you're telling a straight up lie. Like, you know that one person in your life that they tell you something crazy and like, you know, usually things buff out, but like they come to you the next day and they're like, oh yeah, this happened too. Straight face, they're not upset about it, they're used to it. Yeah, that's kind of how my life was as a child. So I totally feel your pain, your trauma, you know, but that's why we're funny. That's why we have senses of humor. So, you know, we got something good out of it. But that's why we're here pretty much, because truth really do be stranger than fiction sometimes. This segment is called Documentaries You Should Binge Watch. It's called Don't F With Cats. It was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there. Full name is Don't F With Cats, Hunting an Internet Unaliver. And it's a 3-part Netflix true crime documentary. It was actually an amateur manhunt. So it was like everyday people that helped to solve the case, which is pretty cool. Like my dream, you know what I'm saying? So our first video surfaces in 2010. It's a disturbing video of a man harming kittens online, sending videos to people. So these two internet sleuths form a Facebook group, Deanna Thompson and John Green, and they use things like background details, furniture, scenery, objects. They literally had like a street sign and were able to line it up with Google Maps. Insane. Crazy work, I'm telling you. And they pretty much start to piece together the story and Lucas Magnotta and who he is. And then they uncover some crazy stuff about how he was pretty much his own fan in all of this. Like, he was making fans, like fake fans, and like commenting on his photos, on his, you know, things online. And it was all him. And it was like a ridiculous amount of fake people or bots or whatever. So he actually did not have a following, like, at all. And he was just really obsessed with himself, pretty much. So the unaliving was in 2012. Of course, things just progressively get worse from there. He unalives and takes apart a person. He was a Chinese student, Jun Lin, in Montreal. He mails the parts to political parties and schools. Yeah, this guy's really unhinged. And then, of course, after that, we all know an international manhunt would clearly ensue. And it pretty much examines being a vigilante, like literally people on the street saying like, I'm all for justice and we're going to get this figured out and worked out together. But it pretty much just helped catch him and just shows like his level of wanting to be famous and chased on the internet, and he never actually got what he wanted. That's the crazy part, is like he's infamous now, but he never got like being famous. It kind of touches like on his modeling career and things like that. But this is the things that he sent to different schools and political parties. A foot was sent to the headquarters of the Conservative Party of Canada in Ottawa. A hand was sent to the Liberty Party of Canada, and other parts were mailed to 2 Vancouver elementary schools, which triggered massive security alerts. The head and remaining parts found later. They were found in Montreal Park, and then the torso they actually ended up finding in Magnotta's apartment. And that's the story of Don't F with Cats. If you haven't watched it, go find it. It's a rabbit hole for sure. You guys tell me some of your favorite documentaries. I love documentaries, so like if you have any eerie type, just weird, unhinged documentaries, send them my way. I love recommendations. I personally don't like to like record myself working out. No hate to anyone that does, but like that's just not my thing. So I will keep you guys posted on my journey. I don't know if I'm gonna like do the whole videos of like me working out, but like I might do it one time to show y'all. Just wanted to show you guys that I did get it. I'm gonna put it together and I'm gonna update y'all every step of the way, even if you didn't ask for it. So yeah, that's where we're at with the ab machine. I have a couple of cases, one local, one well-known, so I'm really excited. I just wanted to hit you guys with some unhinged facts, creepy, bizarre, and they're all true. So number one, we know Halloween's coming up. If you don't celebrate Halloween, fall is coming up. Nature of fall is spooky, so I wanted to give a spooky fact. This case happened in 2005. It's in Delaware, and a woman's body was actually hanging from a tree for hours before anyone actually realized that it wasn't a Halloween decoration. Pretty creepy, not gonna lie. This one's called the Barrel of Bones. So this happened in Augusta, Georgia in 2016. The Georgia property owner that discovered a 55-gallon drum buried on his land inside were human remains that had been there for years, possibly decades. Investigators believe it was a homicide, but to this day, the victim has never been identified. And that came from the Augusta Chronicles. This one is called Cold Storage Mystery. Gross. In 2013, police in Detroit found a mummified woman in a garage freezer and determined she had been dead at least for 6 years, without anyone reporting her missing. Yeah, people really do some heartless things, and like it's so common. Like that's the crazy part. It's so common. And one thing I was talking about, like in my hometown, one of the comments I kept seeing in the last post that I made about CSI van and like an investigation happening is that our city doesn't really report those things. And I actually have found that to be very true. There's crazy things that happen all the time, all around us, and we just don't talk about them. And like some people have like some of the craziest stories. One of my friends, actually, she's the one that told me about the case that we're gonna talk about today. Just to give you an example, like we've all got skeletons, you know, in our generational closets, like not even anything that we did, but like things that our ancestors did. So I just don't know why there is a stigma around talking about those things. Like they're really, really hard things. Like not everyone goes through those things. I get it. But a majority of people that you know are literally struggling and suffering from those things that were really traumatic in their life. And unless it's like an initiation, unless you like make that certain eye contact with them, or unless you are vulnerable and you open up about it, we just don't talk about it. It's like so not normal to talk about those things. And that's why, you know, another reason why I wanted to provide like an anonymous outlet for people to just like tell me the most unhinged thing that you've ever been through, and like nobody has to know it's you. So I really think that those little creepy facts, like as much as we want to say that's not like everyday life, it's, you know, not every day you find a body or something like that, but like in actuality, if you look at crime rates, you know, even locally, like it's really surprising. It's really insane. So if your skin ain't crawling already, I'm just kidding. I'm trying not to be like, I'm like corny funny, but like I don't mean it. If you guys know what I mean. If that's your humor, please raise your hand. Okay, So we are going to actually talk about the JonBenét Ramsey case, but I have a twist because something that I've not been able to like sleep at night about is the picture of a woman that appears to look like Ghislaine Maxwell. Of course, everybody knows about Epstein and all of that. So I just want to talk about that for a second. So the JonBenét Ramsey case, but with just a little bit of a twist. I came across some chatter about Ghislaine Maxwell somehow being linked to this case. Now we're sticking to facts, but this is a rabbit hole. I mean, it really is. The truth is there's no confirmed connection, no legit confirmed connection between Maxwell and the Ramsey family, but there is one small overlap worth mentioning. Both JonBenét's family and Maxwell have used the same Colorado law firm, Haddon, Morgan, and Foreman, at different times. So while that like seems so minute, it's real. It's documented proof there that at some point they ran in the same areas, they were using the same law firm, but it was at different times. So like, what does that have to do with anything? So even though that doesn't prove any direct relationship, the rest of the internet actually claimed that there was a picture of Maxwell in the background of an old JonBenét Ramsey photo, which fact checkers like Snopes and, other websites have clearly denied. But you know what's funny? And we're going to talk about it on here. I have seen things that Snopes has denied as not factual when it was in fact factual. So I do think that the Snopes is biased too. I know that there's no credible proof or anything like that. I'm going to put the picture on the screen so you guys can see it, and I really just try not to overreact with those things. But like I said, I watched someone actually try to put the photos together and then like line them up. I can't say definitively that it's not her. I mean, it looks just like her. So I think that's crazy. Like I just said, when you look at the picture, you can see why some think it's her. The hair, the features, the whole vibe. I'm not saying that it is, but the resemblance is striking. One real legal tie, one photo that's been debated for years and a lot of questions left hanging. And honestly, my gut says it's someone inside the house that night. We've probably all been like crime scene investigators on the JonBenét Ramsey case, but letter that her mom, I say her mom, I'm jumping ahead. The letter had been studied, and I remember reading somewhere that it looked just like her mom's handwriting. So I think it was definitely an inside deal, like someone in the house. I don't think that it was anyone like a random intruder. I just don't. The inconsistencies, and they're just minor inconsistencies, but ransom note, who writes a multi-page ransom note? Inside the victim's home. I think they were able to prove that it was written inside the home. The body was left in the basement, and why would they not have just taken her from the home if they were going to kidnap her, if it was some random intruder? So that's why it still haunts me. It always feels like with that case, the truth is like kind of out of reach and we're never going to have a clear answer. Also, my friends, they don't know I'm doing this. I'm going to give them a shout out real quick because I shop there all the time. They actually own little booths at the Crown Craft Market in Chatsworth. If you know where the Village restaurant is, it's right across the street from there. It is amazing. I love it. It's a craft market. So the shout outs for my friends. I'm going to start with Allie at Just Peachy Boutique. She has some of the cutest clothes there. Very affordable. And then next to my girl Laura, she has Moonlit Market and she sells several different things. She's very, very artistic and has all the cutesy little things. She's putting a lot of fall things out right now. And then Ashley actually owns Amelia's Attic. She named it after her little girl, and she sells like thrifted items, vintage, so really cute. Please check them out if you guys are over in Chatsworth. It's just such a great thing that we have going in Chatsworth. Stop by the coffee shop, hit up the hot dog place, the Shaky Mutt. Really quick, this next case has 2 books written about it. So our main story today is a case that was out. I don't want to say a case. It was a book written about a woman, and her name is Eula Elrod Thompson. Shout out to my friend Laura who sent me this story. So just to get into the main case, we're staying local and leaning into Georgia's darker corners. This one's out of Murray County, and it's the jaw-dropping saga of Eula Elrod Thompson, the first woman in Georgia ever sentenced to die in the electric chair. She grew up around Chatsworth, and by the time she was just a young woman, she was entangled in a web of crime that would read like a Pulp Fiction movie, moonshine brothels, bigamy, robbery, conspiracy, and murder. Her life was a tornado, and it all came to a head in 1927 when her husband, Clifford Thompson, and a man named Jim Hugh Moss were indicted for the murder of a local storekeeper, Coleman Osborne. The courtroom drama was something else. Evidence was mostly circumstantial. Their statements were treated like half-baked confessions, and despite that, all three were convicted. Clifford and Moss were executed. Eula alone was spared for a little while. Here's where it gets wild. Murray County didn't even have the electric service when she was condemned, so the very method of her execution was literally unavailable in her hometown. Talk about the grim irony. Governor L.G. Hardman stepped in suspiciously, taking more than just paperwork to make up his mind. One AP dispatch from the time reported that he consulted photographs, fingerprints, and get this, I don't know what this is, a phrenological exam of her husband. So that's pseudoscience, pretty much. Judge's character by skull shape. Wow, that's pretty wild. We'll have to see if that's even if that's even used now. That's pretty wild. Eula's death sentence was commuted, and she was sent to prison with a life term. So, as you can tell, she did not end up dying by electric chair. Meanwhile, it's hard not to imagine what that felt like, walking away from the electric chair while your husband didn't make it, all because your hometown didn't even have electricity. Then there's more. She returned to Murray County in 1941, back into the place where this nightmare unfolded, and was convicted again, this time alongside two men for the murder of her brother Walker. Another twist in an already twisted tale. This girl could not stay out of trouble. Bless her heart. Eula. It says that Eula wasn't beautiful. She wasn't quietly evil, but she had cunning. She had charm. She wove her way into Southern legend, not because she was glamorous, but because she was fierce, fast, and impossible to ignore. A horrific story, yes, but also one you can't stop thinking about long after the chair was never flipped on. She never died from the electric chair. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Eula, girl, I bet you were tired. Girl, get off these streets. You can't be doing all that. This segment is called Uncover and Solve the Real Life Mystery. You guys want to do it? Let's do it. So we're going to step into a real life mystery, like I said. And this case happened in 1995. But there's a hypothetical. There's a couple of hypotheticals I have to ask. In a small Georgia town, a man was cleaning out his late uncle's home when he found a locked box in the attic. Inside was a handgun, a stack of old photos, and a sealed letter addressed to the sheriff. The letter was never mailed, and when opened, it claimed to name the killer in an unsolved local murder in the 1970s. The man who found it, he never told anyone for years. So here's your hypotheticals. And I want you guys to answer these in the comments. Straight to the po-po, keep and investigate, or burn it. Now it is time for some Reddit confessions. It's my favorite thing to do. I know you guys probably still do it too, but I'm going to share some Reddit confessions because I'm all about Reddit confessions. I'm on Reddit all the time. I'm a weirdo. So if you're a weirdo and want to stick around for this segment. The first one's called The Wedding Gift. I once ruined my sister's wedding on purpose. She was marrying my ex-boyfriend, and no one in the family seemed to care. So during the reception, I told her maid of honor loud enough for people to overhear that the groom had proposed to me first. By the end of the night, he was gone. She was crying in her wedding dress, and I was helping her pack her honeymoon luggage like I didn't cause it. Remember, these are things that they've never probably spoken out loud, so that's some issues. That's some animosity right there, girl. I don't know if I could do that to my sister. I'm not judging, but yeah. This one's called The Accidental DNA Test. My parents always said I looked nothing like my siblings. Last year for Christmas, I bought all of us those Ancestry DNA kits as a fun family activity. I already knew the truth. My mom had an affair, and my dad wasn't my biological father to watch it all play out in real time. Let's just say Christmas dinner did not happen that year. Oh my God. Ooh. This is your sign that if you feel like you're not a part of the family, go get a DNA test kit as a fun family activity. Whew, I could imagine Christmas wouldn't have been normal that year. And I'm not judging. I've had some weird Christmases too. We've all been there. This one's called The Wrong Funeral. No. This is the thing when you've been through some unhinged trauma, you laugh when you probably shouldn't. It says, I once went to a stranger's funeral by mistake, but everyone was so emotional and hugging me that I panicked and pretended to be an old friend. I even got up and I spoke. He or she spoke during the service. I can't. Like, I'm actually tearing up over that one. Dude, or ma'am. Making up fake memories on the spot. The worst part, they later asked me to help scatter the ashes. That one can't be real. It cannot be real. The neighbor's secret is the next one. When I was 15, my neighbor disappeared. Everyone assumed she left her husband. I found her purse a year later while helping him with yard work. I didn't tell a soul. I still have the purse in my attic. What? They took the purse? I'd be scared. Like, I'd be scared there'd be some negative energies, negative spirits with that. I wouldn't have taken it, but that's on you. I mean, you do whatever you want. So, yeah, those were pretty wild. Every single one of these could be its own episode, and honestly, some of them probably will be. We've probably heard of them. Now, I really do think that I've heard of the DNA test kit. I'm pretty sure I've heard about that one. All right, guys, that wraps it up. My first episode. I want to encourage you to please share your stories. Again, I would love to do a segment where we have like anonymous stories sent in. I just think that it's more personal. It's not Reddit confessions, which I do love to read, but I want to share your stories. I want to empower you to know that the minute that you speak those things, that they cannot enslave you anymore. I know I joke and I cut up, but like those things really are deep. And one thing I found about myself is that when I started to like dig with my trauma, I started to remember things that I didn't remember before. And I've let go of a lot of things in my life that maybe held me back before I was able to like even like bring it to the forefront of my mind. So I want to encourage you to send your stories in. Just message me. I love to just be there for people. That's who I am as a person. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness, though. I've been through some crap. So, boundaries. Everybody's got their boundaries, but I'm here to help how I can. If you actually need true help of any kind, I have a great friend named Amber. Shout out to Amber. She runs a page called Giving Hands of Northwest Georgia. So she runs a really, really great thing on Facebook, over on Facebook. I actually just messaged her the other day. I knew someone that needed a refrigerator, was able to go pick the refrigerator up and get the person set within like the same day. So if you really do need help of any sort, I have a network of people that, I can definitely get you in contact with. But other than that, thank you guys so much. It went very smoothly. I'm very pleased with my level of organization on this. I hope to see you guys next week. I'm going to get this edited and out, hopefully by Friday. And I love you guys so much. You're my besties, and please join me next week.